The motivation for association. Number 90. Today, we'll be looking at the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke to see how Jesus trained his disciples to share the gospel without creating a culture of entitlement or false expectations of material gain. So let's get started. Matthew 10 verses 9 to 15, Mark 6 verses 8 to 11, Luke 9 verses 3 to 5. Jesus instructed them to wear sandals and to take nothing but a staff for the journey. Take nothing for the journey, he told them. No bag for the road, no bread, no extra tunics or sandals or staffs. Do not carry any gold or silver or copper in your belts, for the worker is worthy of his provisions. Whatever town or village you enter, find out who is worthy there and stay at his house until you move on and leave that area. As you enter the home, greet its occupants. If the home is worthy, let your peace rest on it. But if it is not, let your peace return to you. And if anyone will not welcome you or listen to you and heed your words, shake the dust off your feet when you leave that home or town as a testimony against them. Truly I tell you, it will be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. My thoughts. You'll notice very quickly how different Jesus' evangelistic strategy is from a modern approach. When Jesus sent his disciples out, they were instructed to take nothing with them but the power and authority of God. The gift they brought to their hearers was a message of life coupled with supernatural healing and deliverance. Jesus also set the stage for an opportunity for the host to show their love for the king by feeding and housing his messengers. That's the strange thing about the strategy. The messengers were completely reliant on the recipients to provide their basic needs as they went about with no provisions for themselves. You have to ask, what was Jesus trying to accomplish with his minimalistic strategy? I can think of several things that this approach to missions provides. Jesus modeled and instructed his disciples to carry out their mission with minimal logistical support, fostering a deep sense of faith. This approach encouraged reliance on God's provision and ensured that those receiving the message were motivated by its content rather than material incentives. By traveling light, the disciples learned to depend on God and generous hosts, while also being motivated to persistently seek receptive individuals. And it should be noted that anyone, regardless of their financial, educational, or potential status, could easily reproduce this strategy because you don't need anything but the message and faith in God. This method ultimately ensured that the focus remained on the message itself. My story. We haven't done a very good job at following Jesus' instruction or strategy over the last 2 millennia. We have used material goods and finances to minister to needs as a bait on the hook of the gospel. This has led to some very unfortunate outcomes, which include an unhealthy dependency on foreign aid and a false positive reception of the gospel. In fact, it has gotten so bad that in some parts of the world they have adopted this little ditty. When I see white, I see green. In other words, when they see white missionaries, they know the financial assistance to do ministry comes with them. We have absolutely polluted parts of Africa and South Asia with our money. Now an argument may be, well, Chuck, Jesus did send them out to heal the sick, cast out demons, and raise the dead. Yes. And who did the missionary and the recipients of the message have to rely on for such provisions? These were supernatural provisions from God. But Jesus fed people. Indeed, we can once again see a supernatural intervention in the act of feeding so many people. The credit for this remarkable provision should be attributed solely to God, rather than to the human agent facilitating it. I think we have unwittingly hamstrung entire cultures with our purchasing convert strategies. I'm not against using money and material goods as we minister to the needy, but we should go about this very carefully and pray for wisdom. It's easy to throw money at problems. It's harder to go with nothing and trust God to provide both our needs and the needs of those hearing the gospel. Hopefully, this has given us something to pray and think through. Our action plan. Now it's time for application. Here's some ideas. Think through your relationships and ask the questions. Why is this person motivated to meet with me? Have I unintentionally created a relationship dynamic where those I'm discipling feel compelled to perform or meet certain expectations in order to receive financial, material, or emotional support from me, with any spiritual support being merely a secondary consequence? Teach those you are discipling to be bold and pray for healings and deliverance from evil spirits. Teach disciples to trust God to provide both their needs and the needs of those they are sharing the gospel with. Jesus' approach to evangelism challenges our modern methods, emphasizing reliance on God's provision and the power of the message itself, rather than material incentives. As we reflect on this strategy, we are called to reassess the motivations and methods in sharing and receiving the gospel, ensuring that our discipleship efforts are rooted in genuine spiritual growth rather than creating dependencies or false expectations of material gain.